Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a topic that, let's be honest, affects pretty much all of us. Have you ever felt like no matter how incredibly hard you try, saving money just feels genuinely impossible? Like you're doing everything right, but the math just isn't mathing? Well, today we're exploring the psychology of spending. We're going to see if we can uncover a psychological trick to building real wealth without having to rely on sheer exhausting motivation. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this. It's payday. You see that fresh deposit hit your account and you feel absolutely great. You promise yourself, all right, next month I'll definitely save a chunk of this. And yet, somehow, just a few days later, you check your balance and it's almost completely wiped out. Next month ends up looking exactly like the last one, and you're trapped in this endless, super frustrating paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. If this scenario sounds painfully familiar to you, believe me, you are far from alone. Here's a realization that really, really needs to sink in. You are not inherently bad with money. The reality is that we are operating within a modern financial system that was never actually designed to help us save. Not at all. It's so easy to blame ourselves, right? To think we just lack self-control or willpower. But we need to shift that blame from our perceived personal failings to the modern environment we actually live in. Once you understand that the game is completely tilted against you, you can finally change the way you play it. Section 1. The psychology of spending. To change how we play the game, we first have to understand the rules. Most people firmly believe that if they just had a bit more discipline, their savings account would magically grow. But think about it. If discipline was the ultimate magic bullet, basically everyone with a good salary would already be wealthy. And that is absolutely not the reality we see. There are literally millions of Americans right now earning six-figure salaries who are still living entirely paycheck to paycheck. This incredible fact proves that the root of the problem isn't the size of your income, it's human behavior. To understand that behavior, we've got to look at how our brains are actually wired. Psychologists call this present bias. Basically, it means your brain is naturally programmed to value immediate rewards vastly more than future rewards. Think about it. Your brain places a way higher value on the instant gratification of today's morning coffee or today's online shopping haul compared to the abstract, kind of boring idea of an emergency fund you might need next year. It's totally crucial to understand that this isn't a personal weakness. It's exactly how humans evolved to survive. We prioritize what is right in front of us. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how modern companies literally weaponize that evolutionary present bias against us. Notice the stark contrast here. Today, every app you use, every online store you visit, and every social media ad you see is meticulously engineered to make spending feel completely effortless. Spending money now requires just one single click. Boom, done. Saving money, on the other hand, that still requires conscious, deliberate effort. When you pit an exhausting, conscious effort against a frictionless single click, well, it's pretty obvious which one is going to win. Section 2, the lifestyle inflation trap. This completely frictionless spending environment leads us directly to a hidden enemy. Let's look at this breakdown. That first bar is your baseline salary. Now, imagine you get a nice raise. That's the second, taller bar. You'd think the difference between the two would go straight into your savings, right? But the third bar shows what actually happens. Instead of banking the difference, you upgrade your phone. You move to a slightly nicer apartment, maybe get a newer car and sign up for a few more streaming services. Without you even noticing, your expenses quietly and perfectly rise to match your new, higher income. There is literally zero room left for savings. Earning more money doesn't automatically create wealth because of this exact trap. This brilliantly illustrates a core philosophy of financially successful people. They don't simply focus on earning more. They focus on keeping a larger percentage of what they earn. There's this fantastic saying, income creates opportunity, savings create freedom, investing creates wealth. If you are constantly inflating your lifestyle, sure, you might have opportunity, but you will never actually reach freedom or wealth. Section 3. Why traditional budgeting fails. So, if we know our psychology is working against us and lifestyle inflation is eating up all our raises, why don't we just stick to a strict budget? Well, traditional budgeting advice sounds incredibly simple in theory, doesn't it? Just track every single dollar, cut every possible expense, and repeat this process forever. But the reality? Most people quit their strict budgets within a matter of weeks. Why? Because traditional budgeting relies entirely on willpower. And willpower is a finite, highly limited resource. So the crucial point is this. After an incredibly long, stressful day at work, your brain naturally seeks comfort. Your willpower is totally depleted.
That is exactly why emotional spending is so incredibly calming. When you make that impulse purchase after a hard day, you aren't really buying a new gadget or a new pair of shoes. You are buying temporary relief. This realization is massive because it tells us that the answer to our money problems isn't forcing ourselves to have stronger discipline. We need a way better strategy.
Section 4. The automatic saving system.
If discipline and strict budgeting aren't the answer, what on earth is? Well, it might be time for a massive paradigm shift, a totally actionable solution utilized by financially successful people. The foundational concept here is called paying yourself first. It means automatically moving money into your savings or your investments the very second your salary arrives. I mean, well before you ever have a chance to look at it, touch it, or spend it. By entirely removing the decision-making process from the equation, you completely bypass the problem of your limited willpower. You don't have to choose to save. The system just does it for you. Notice the fundamental difference in these two mindsets. The old way is what most of us do, right? We pay our bills, buy our groceries, buy some things we want, and then try to save whatever is left over at the end of the month. The wealthy way flips this entirely. You save first, and then you spend whatever is left over. It seems like an incredibly small shift in perspective, but doing this consistently, even with just a modest percentage of your income, builds massive wealth over time, simply because the saving actually happens.
When you automate this process, you're taking all the friction out of saving. Automation removes the emotion from your finances. It removes all those excuses you might make at the end of a really tight month. And honestly, most importantly, it entirely removes that exhausting daily battle with yourself over whether you should buy that coffee or save those $5. You literally make saving inevitable.
Let's move to Section 5, your step-by-step blueprint, and see how this builds into a real system.
Here is a concrete, actionable plan you can implement right away. 4 foolproof steps to completely change your financial environment today. Step 1. Open a separate savings account. Do not use your everyday checking account where all your spending happens. You got to keep the money out of sight. Step 2. Schedule an automatic transfer for every single payday. Even if it's just a tiny amount at first, consistency matters so much more than perfection. Step 3. Whenever your income increases, increase that automatic savings amount immediately. Do not let that lifestyle inflation creep in. And step 4, delete the shopping apps from your phone that tempt you to buy impulsively. Just get rid of them.
If you distill that entire blueprint down to its absolute essence, you get this golden rule: reduce friction for saving and increase friction for spending. That is the core of behavioral design. You are intentionally designing your environment so that doing the right thing, saving money, happens automatically without you lifting a finger, while doing the wrong thing, impulse spending, takes extra, annoying, conscious effort. The biggest financial mistake we make isn't earning too little. It's relying on motivation instead of a solid system. I want you to remember this quote: "You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems." Literally everyone has the goal of saving money, but only those who create the right system will actually achieve it effortlessly. When your system is strong, saving money just becomes this quiet, automatic background process in your life. We've covered a lot of ground today in this explainer, from present bias and lifestyle inflation to the sheer absolute power of automation and behavioral design. Now I want to turn this over to you. What's the biggest thing stopping you from saving money right now? Is it the friction in your environment, or are you still out there relying on willpower? I highly encourage you to really evaluate your own habits and, more importantly, your systems. Thank you so much for joining me today. Start building those automatic systems right now, and I will catch you next time.